There were five main causes of the Great War. Number one, mutual defense alliances. Over time, countries throughout Europe made mutual defense agreements that would pull them into battle. These treaties meant that if one country was attacked, allied countries were bound to defend them. Before World War I, the following alliances existed: Russia and Serbia, Germany and Austria-Hungary, France and Russia, Britain and France and Belgium, Japan and Britain. Number two, imperialism. Before World War I, Africa and parts of Asia were points of contention among the European countries. This was especially true because of the raw materials these areas could provide. The increasing competition and desire for greater empires led to an increase in confrontation that helped push the world into World War I. Number three, militarism. By 1914, Germany had the greatest increase in military build-up. Great Britain and Germany both greatly increased their navies in this time period. Further, in Germany and Russia particularly, the military establishment began to have a greater influence on public policy. This increase in militarism helped push the countries involved to world war.
Number 4. Nationalism. Much of the origin of the war was based on the desire of the Slavic people in Bosnia and Herzegovina to no longer be part of Austria-Hungary, but instead be part of Serbia. In this way, nationalism led directly to the war. But in a more general way, the nationalism of the various countries throughout Europe contributed not only to the beginning, but the extension of the war in Europe. Each country tried to prove their dominance and power.
Number 5. Immediate cause. Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The immediate cause of World War that made the aforementioned items come into play, alliances, imperialism, militarism, nationalism, was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary.
Characteristics of the Great War. This war was the first truly modern war because it was technology that any other war had. This war was mechanized warfare. This means that they used advanced machines in war, like armored vehicles, aircraft, modern artillery, and machine guns. Another characteristic were the trench warfare, in which opposing armies dig sophisticated trenches into the earth in order to provide themselves with cover.
In the Treaty of Versailles, some decisions were taken, such as blaming Germany for the war. The cost of the war was 6,600,000,000 euros. The German military reduced to 1,000 men, German navy reduced to 36 ships. No conscription was allowed, no tanks, submarines, or aircraft to be built, all wartime weapons to be melted down. The colonies were put under the control of the League of Nations until further decisions were made as to who was to run them. The Allies took control of the area, not allowing the German military to have presence in the area.
Consequences of Treaty of Versailles. One of the main consequences of the Treaty of Versailles is that geography was radically altered. The province of Alsace and Lorraine returned to France. Parts of Schleswig were ceded to Denmark. To the east, new countries were created to get an equal balance of area. It was separate the Eastern Prussia from the rest of Germany. In total, Germany lost over 1 million square miles of lands and 6 million subjects. The Treaty of Versailles blamed Germany for the First World War.
Great Depression was a severe economic crisis that started when the US stock market crashed in 1929. Although it shared the basic characteristics with other crises, the Great Depression was unprecedented in its length and its big amount of poverty and tragedy that inflicted in society. Economists have disagreed over their causes, but certain factors generally accepted. A factor was the prosperity of the 1920s that was unevenly distributed among the various parts of American economy. Another factor is that the nation's productive capacity was greater than the capacity to consume. In addition, the tariff and war debt policies of the Republican administrations of 1920s had cut down the foreign markets of American goods. Finally, easy money policies lead to an inordinate expansion of credit and installment buying in the stock market.
Totalitarian regimes could be seen all over Europe after the Great Depression. A main cause of it was that people started to lose trust in the democratic government. They started to search for someone able to give them stability and job, even for exchange of an absolute power. Another cause was the old anger most Europeans had with each other due to the Treaty of Versailles. Lots of countries thought they didn't receive what they deserved, which raised a grudge that the totalitarian regimes used wisely.
Totalitarianism is defined as the practices and principles of a totalitarian regime, the absolute control by the state or governing branch of a highly centralized
Institution.
The regime of the Nazis was in Germany, but not just Germany, also Austria, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and Luxembourg. That was the regime of the Nazis from 1943 to 1945, where Hitler regime was implanted to all that countries. Adolf Hitler was born the 20th of April 1889 and died the 30th of April 1945. He was an Austrian-born German politician who was the leader of the Nazi Party, Chancellor of Germany from 1933 to 1945, and leader of the Nazi Germany from 1934 to 1945. He was a central figure of the World War II in Europe and the Holocaust. Hitler was the created veteran of the World War I. He joined the procedure of the NSDAP, the German Workers' Party, in 1919, and became leader of the NSDAP in 1921. In 1923, he attempted a couple of Munich to seize power. The failure resulted in Hitler's imprisonment, during which he dictated his autobiography and politician manifesto, Mein Kampf. After his release in 1924, Hitler gained popular support by attacking the Treaty of Versailles and promoting pan-Germanism, anti-Semitic, and anti-communism with charismatic oratory and Nazi propaganda. Hitler frequently denounced international capitalism and communism as being part of a Jewish conspiracy. Hitler's Nazi Party became the largest elected party in the German, leading to his appointment as Chancellor in 1933. Following fresh elections, he won the coalition. Hitler aimed to eliminate the Jews from Germany. His first 6 years in power resulted in a rapid economic recovery from the Great Depression. The effective abandonment of restrictions imposed on the World War in Germany and annexion of the territories that were home to millions of ethnic Germans, actions which gave the significant popular support.
Hitler's regime is labeled as one of the most destructive in history. This does not extend to its economical system, which had a lot of success in reactivating Germany's economy that was in ruins. Hitler's economy was based on protectionism. The idea of isolating Germany economically seemed very productive. This way, Germany could be independent and its economy wasn't tied to the rest of the world. Also, the industry would improve, allowing for more exports and a higher revenue overall. For this protectionist reform to work, a lot of barriers had to be made, the most important on imports and foreign industry, which was highly regulated to allow German business the ability to grow. Hitler also created jobs for the masses, with public spending, mostly by building roads, bridges, and a highway network to connect Germany.
Hitler's ideology was simple. He blamed the Jews for all the bad things that happened to Germany, including the wrong and unjust treatment of the Treaty of Versailles after World War I. He believed the Jews were behind the capitalism and passed anti-Semitic laws and stripped Jews of their German citizenship and civil rights. He built up some concentration camps and put Jews and all the opposition in there, make them work and kill them.
During Hitler's regime, most of the human rights were violated. Some of the ones with the most impact were Articles 4 and 5, which consist on no slavery and no torture. This is because during the Second World War, concentration camps were a common activity, which involved the use of physical torture and forced labor. Other important rights which were not respected are Articles 18 and 19 that talk about freedom of thought and freedom of expression. These freedoms weren't allowed in Germany, since people with different beliefs as the government were punished and considered traitors.